And this is what it's really all about, because if you can punch your ticket to that grand finals today with 1 out of 5, that's all you need, just one victory royale. And if you don't get it, Monster, well, either the upper bracket or the lower bracket awaits, but a reduction in games as a possibility, given that you only get 3 chances for tomorrow, but tomorrow is not today. And right now, I think one of the primary focuses is the fact that we do have some new off-spawn engagements because of some of these teams being brought up from the lower bracket to uppers, and Creep, Hades, they've already got their eyes set onto Blizzard and Victor. A lot of pressure being applied with some of these shield breaker EMPs as well from Creep.
That's right. This is not like a 2-day tournament. No, these are 2 separate tournaments on, across different days, essentially. This is going to be a completely new environment. There's going to be plenty of new opportunities now to fight these engagements that they haven't seen before for Creep and Hades right now. I mean, things are looking pretty good, but both sides have, like you can see here, accepted their punishment, and they're going to have to reset, bounce back, and see who can actually recover the fastest. But ultimately, we're going to see this unfold all across the map. We're going to see this unfold realistically all across tons of teams here today.
What I'm really curious about, though, is Creep. No shields, no heals. Hades definitely looking worse for wear. And things are just getting started here. So it's really going to come down to Creep, whether or not he can manage to connect. Doesn't have that much ammunition, though, to continue extending this engagement. It does seem as though Hades was able to find some shields, though, for the time being. That is still going to be enough incentive, though, for Creep to just pull back a little bit further, create a little bit more space here. And space is one thing, too, that Webster is definitely trying to control here with Hydra on the opposite end of the map, more towards that north side.
Yeah, and they've already picked up that singular elimination here, so Havoc is down and out. It's up to his teammate here to try to pull this one out by himself, and this is not an easy task to do by any means, but for Webster and Hydra, they seem to be content with the fact that they already have an elimination. Why throw the rest of this game? All that matters, again, is those victory royales. So yeah, sure, you can play consistent. Sure, you can, try to earn points in the interim, but winning a game is the highest priority, and when you have a teammate alongside yourself still in the early game, you might as well play towards that win condition first as your highest priority. For Pikes and Stacky over here at the Classy Courts, I mean, there's fights happening everywhere. You can see that right now there's about to be 3 teams potentially engaging here. There's a team fighting to the southwest, and that's not including all the teams that have already been scratched out of this lobby, with some quick and fierce early game fights ending pretty fast, and the toll continues to count here as the elimination feed lights up, Taco. So yeah, there's a lot of action happening right now.
And Bugha's just going to keep things going. Just immediately challenging. Stacky finds the instantaneous knock, will go for the finish as well. So 1 elimination credited towards Bugha and Avivv, and they just continue running down the likes of Pike, as he's not going to be able to escape this time. Bugha, Avivv, just too much pressure. Now, Noxy seemingly going for a third-party opportunity, but Bugha, Avivv, it cost them next to nothing to find those quick 2 eliminations. So they could definitely look for this challenge up against Crisp if they so choose.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, why farm metal, why farm brick when you could just go find yourself a set of eliminations and take everything that, generates from those downed bodies, essentially. But they may have asked for more than they can handle here. There's a lot going on. Aviv's going to get punished here. Bugha's going to have to come to his assistance here shortly, but Crisp and Noxy all of a sudden, constricting all of the air around this base here as another team starts to come in as well. So just danger on the horizon here as Bugha and Avivv had no time to truly celebrate their set of eliminations. Slumcho and Plur come in, and all of a sudden now everyone's like, yeah, let's get out of here. This is not the fight that I want to take. So for Slum and Plur, I mean, they're just getting started right there. They don't know who's below. They just want Surge.
And that's the most important part, because if you think about how yesterday went, we saw teams every single lobby 7th, 8th zone struggling with that Storm Surge damage threshold. And that's something that Slumcho and Plur continually trying to avoid that in game number 1. Make some adjustments to these Surge tag strategies, but Bugha, Avivv, they're certainly quite experienced when it comes to the Surge tag situation. They know with those 2 elims they've already acquired, looted out house as much as they wanted at Classy Courts, now trying to find a separate area of elevation to look to challenge. But it's largely just about Bugha trying to refarm mats at this point. But of course, action everywhere, Monster.
And take a look at this. Edgy gets, looks like the drop here on Bugha as Bugha was just trying to find the weapon. Okay, so that's actually his first shotgun he puts up. See, is it even going to be enough for him to turn things around? No, he's going to get tagged first, and it is very, very likely that this is going to be the end for Bugha. So Bugha and Pars had this same exact situation happen yesterday, don't forget, but look at this. He actually does end up getting the knock there first onto Edgy, so that's a crazy turn of events. Yesterday, Bugha and Pars were first to fall in game one. They're one of the earliest duos to get taken out. I'm happy they get to start off a little bit faster here today, and although they did, you know, turn out and turn some pretty wonderful end games, they did not get that victory out, right? That's what is up for grabs here today. It's, can you pull the victory out here today, get it out the way, and go straight to grand finals?
And it is tough for Bugha and Pars as well, because they've just been so continuously contested for their drop because of the possibility of that forecast tower that spawns so close to where they like to land near that reclaimed villa on that southwest side of the map. But this is actually one of our newer teams to the upper bracket, Snacky and Possessed, finishing in 8th place, I believe, from the lower bracket yesterday, now ready to continue their momentum here in the upper bracket today. Snacky and Possessed definitely seeming as though they're just trying to prioritize their surge damage for the time being, and for good reason. If you have any bit of elevation that you can utilize, all these hills, you need to make sure you're taking control of them, just like Snacky and Possessed are doing. They want to make sure that they have that little bit of aerial advantage to try and get some tags going for them.
Peterbot and Boyo, this is, again, that explosive duo. Our most, I would say, consistent, right? Clearly a team that belongs in the grand finals, but when the condition is get a victory royale, otherwise you have to play through the stages, well, it just is what it is. I think it's inevitable that Peterbot and Boyo might pick up a win before this weekend's over. However, they still have to prove it, right? We've seen crazy things happen in the past where very deserving teams don't quite make it through the stages, right? But this is just one of those times where we're gonna have to continue to chip away at it. And same can be said here for Epic Whale and Clicks, who also played very, very well yesterday, all things considering, but that elusive victory royale, right? Continue to slip past them.
Yeah, because for a lot of these teams, I think consistency isn't the primary concern. We're more than fully aware of the fact that these guys definitely know how to hang, make sure that they can maintain at least that top 20 of the leaderboard. But yeah, it's really just about the victory royale, because you want that day off, that last day, day 3. You don't have to worry about competition, just get to scope out your competitors. But it all depends on how Game Number 1 actually pans out here. Rapid and Batman Bugha, again, another lower bracket team now in the upper bracket, putting some decent pressure here onto Bryce and Chubbs. It does seem as though Rapid's recognizing the fact that trying to play this from inside the ditch, likely not the most advantageous position, but uses a bush close by, and I like that initial strike course attempt as well from Batman Bugha and Rapid. Hard to spot players out inside of these bushes, so it can definitely make for some good ambush material.
Yeah, look at this. They definitely have Bryce and Chubbs lined up right now, so continue to find tags. They're spotted out. There it is. Chubbs puts some counter fire back onto them, and things should start to simmer down for a second. On the other side here, we have G-Money and Diego trying to situate up, and it seems like they're also surrounded by a couple of teams here. But you can see the markers already out. After they pick up this cachet, it's about getting to the next position to play for the surge tags.
Definitely a massive cache for them to find, though, because it certainly seems like they need a little bit more hard materials, and that cache hopefully going to be able to provide what they're looking for. Agers, Kanata find themselves in a little bit of a box fight position here up against the likes of Shadow and Walkers. A good overview here for Majors, like this split off that he's done from Kanata to try and attack Shadow and Walkers from just one layer above, just making sure to put continuous pressure onto this duo. Meanwhile, Kanata just continues trying to strike from their low ground layer, and Kanata again just seemingly looking for a flank of some sort, while Agers is just here to play distraction from above.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where we've seen this fight happen yesterday. We know that both sides have essentially bested one another in a different scenario or another. So for Agers and Kanata, it's either this game one, they want to earn their respect all the way through and finish these fights because they're feeling very much confident, or they're going to take a tough lesson and ultimately end up earning the respect or getting the respect taken from them, right? From Walkers and company. But hold up, Clix and Epic, we are in a fight here.
Doesn't seem, though, that Clix was able to get the finish there for the knock onto Day. Day will get a nice opportunity to practically refill his shields to full. And now Clix, Epic, they got some damage already online there up against the likes of Day and Redux. They don't want to keep testing their luck. Clix gonna take the pass off of that medallion from Epic. Always love the freebie shield regen up to 50. And now Clix, Epic also monitoring another team that's just slightly east of them from their current position. And once you start to approach that bridge, I think Clix and Epic, they really just want to control how the teams behind them are going to be rotating.
No Boyo here. It did look like Snacky ended up getting the best of Boyo. Peterbot has to play this one out solo at the moment. Got Blade's gonna go allow him to bounce all the way back, likely play for, I was just gonna say, better positioning here. Make sure you can gather as much information as possible. As long as he knows the opponent isn't watching, standing around, right? Likely gatekeeping the card. That's what he's trying to figure out. There is still that one lurking teammate, so there it is. Not exactly on top of the card, so Peterbot catches the opportunity here to back off. The marker comes out. They know exactly where the reboot vans are going to be.
And this with 2 medkits in tow, Peterbot realistically should be able to get this reboot off for Poyo. And it's definitely still early enough that they can look to try and refarm out some materials, some better loot as well for Poyo. But what's really going to make things rough, Monster, is just that rotation up north. With the way that the zone is looking to pull towards that northern side of the map, coming all the way from Ruined Reels, it can definitely be pretty easy. You're looking a lot more susceptible if you're Peterbot and Poyo at getting held up on the edge of zone on that long rotation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All the teams going to be looking to hold teams out, of course, as their first priority to the edges. Lavish Lair continuing to be a place of gathering. Every single time we've tuned into the Lavish Lair, I mean, it is just a hot spot for teams to not only situate up at the top of the castle, but just all within, inside, outside, around it. Oh, back to Peterbot, the safe pickup here for Boyo. He's trying to hit the vending machine, make sure he's got enough heals to weather the rotate here. And just think about the setback, the time setback here. That's what's going to be holding Peterbot back the most now for the remainder of this game. Here's the surge, the damage that he's going to have to make up for. I mean, it's just surely going to force them to take a battle.
But it's definitely still an effort from Peterbot. Curious to see how things pan out for him and Poyo as this match continues to progress. And it's for Duke in threats, though. Overlooking Rift Island for the time being. Duke's Reaper Sniper in tow. Heads, got to be careful when you're looking for those peaks outside of your boxes. Especially when you consider the fact that Duke threats have already got 2 elims. Looking for this next immediate fight. Threats trying to jump in, just go straight for the box. Tired of waiting around. Duke, much of the same mental here. Just gonna challenge on the backside there. Havoc trying to escape. Just a really clean sweep between Duke and Threats to really secure Rift Island.
Yeah, that's how they picked up their 3rd and 4th elims. So they're definitely fired up right now. For Day and Redux, team that is, of course, entering into the set lobbies this weekend. They've already given a team their run for their money. We've seen them come across the, upper bracket team of Kanata, and now they're just, again, one of those teams that are going to continue to have their way. But the Lavish Lair, like I said, is going to continue to be a hot spot here. It's not going to be too center, so yep, it is going to be time to move. Day and Redux are going to try to play for dead middle here, and the high ground, the key positioning here not being taken this early, so it's going to be probably one of the better spots you can get this soon into the new zone reveal. And all things considering, this is a great find to get here nice and early, so this key positioning is going to work out very well. There's going to be so many teams that are going to be on the move, and the fact that they're here early, they shouldn't have any problems with Surge should they hit their tags. For Edgy and Tavern, Edgy essentially was downed very early. You saw from that Bugha engagement. It's one of the first to catch a casualty, but Tavern, trusty with the quick save here, and look at this. They might just find their first elims. Edgy with a quick glance at the toes there. You know, he saw it for a second and it ends up working out as another team puts their influence into the mix as well. Shots raining into these boxes here make it even easier for Edgy and Tavern.
It just seems like Ilash had zero expectations that that's the direction the crash pad was going to take Edgy and Tavern. It's so hard to escape too when you just suddenly have a duo immediately collapsing on your backside. But Peterbot, he brought Pollo back into this game once already. Question is if he's going to opt to go for the reboot card again. I'd say it's rather unlikely, but not impossible. Right now, Peterbot a little bit more prioritized on just getting revenge for his teammate. And it starts with this elimination onto Blizzard. Now Peterbot going to be able to work his way through some of these pre-existing builds. Pretty big fight that just took place. But Peterbot Pollo, this was the start of the end, at least for Pollo, but Peterbot was just getting things rolling. A nice knock onto Victor rather quickly as well. Just continuing to showcase what the Frenzy Auto can really do.
Yeah, you can see Victor had no idea what went wrong there. Everyone was landing, just trying to get situated inside the box where Peterbot he found himself. Just a matter of moments sent back to the lobby. But Peterbot lost his teammate in the process too. It wasn't just an elimination. Of course, he picks up a casualty. Here's Reet and Ritual just continuing the pace from yesterday. This is another team that was on that, you know, Boyo train as well, just consistently finding themselves not only end game but eliminations, right? Trending towards the top as one of the better teams in the upper bracket. And now everyone's here as the chances are starting to run thin.
Reet and Ritual kind of just taking the focus of the lobby currently. All they're trying to do is just break into this edge of zone, but Snacky and Possessed, they're going to be the ones trying to prevent this rotate from Reet and Ritual happening super smoothly. Already Ritual down to 10 shield. Definitely going to cost him at least one of his shield potions. But the medallion definitely helps mitigate some of those resources that he might have had to use initially. Always love that feature of the... It's almost like a hot potato, essentially, when it comes to the medallion and some of these teams. Just making sure that the other is covered. But pretty interesting position right now from Reet and Ritual. Definitely looking to try and make more of an approach from the dead side of zone.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, they're keeping the zone right behind them, which is allowing them to save a little bit of material. I mean, every ounce counts at this point, and it does seem like the zone's going to pull their way. Back over to Bugha and Pars, who are below the surge right now, having a very difficult time here maintaining. Now, they do have a lot of heals. They could spend more time here, but the sound cues are given away to Day and Redux, and you could just tell things are very chaotic right now for the professional players. As Day and Redux lose track of Bugha. He does the damage, but it does seem like he's been singled out. It does seem like he's been cornered out. They know where he's at, but there's too much attention now coming from opponents here, from the rest of the lobby. And Bugha is just on the move. Look at how much more metal and brick he still has left. So this is showing you he's not even building. He's just ratting his way through these existing builds, editing his way up and down, outmaneuvering Day and Redux, and the continued counter fire, right? That's very important to extending his tournament life right now.
Just can't help but wonder what things would be like if Bugha still at Pars by his side. Given how much of a run for their money Bugha was just giving Day and Redux, the fact that he managed to give them the slip entirely The grapple blade is safety for the time being. If Bugha can pinpoint Braids, though, as a solo, will manage to grapple blade right over his head. Beautiful hammer pump for the elimination. And just gets him a little bit more materials. It's not like he was ever hurting in the first place for builds, but now he's definitely more than set. The damage threshold, though, still 32 below.
Yeah, even though he's only 32 below, that was just an exceptional read and another exceptional read. Finding players out of position. Diego Play should know better than to be sitting behind the edge of zone right here when you still have a couple of squares to move inwards, and Bugha is taking full advantage of these chances here and making it look like he knows exactly what he is trying to achieve right now, and that is more bang for his buck. He knows he needs damage. He needs more and more damage. I think the eliminations are obviously a bonus here, and the fact that they're solos, even better. You just don't see that very often. That's what we can definitely call a clutch play right there to keep his tournament life alive right now. And the win potentially, on the line here.
Bryson Chubbs also, though, facing the end of their first lobby. If they can't find some tags soon enough, the damage just keeps pouring in. The amount of ticks they've already taken. And finally, Bryce will manage to connect just a little bit, but still short. Until it finally ticks on over. A brief pause, but so many heals having already been expended for Bryce and Chubbs. They have no shields to function with. It is entirely up to them to just find the most perfect refresh and hope that the other players have resources they can utilize, but don't want to find themselves getting eliminated in the process. Clicks and Epic will, for a moment, contemplated challenging Bryce and Chubbs, but it's all about positional rotations right now, and Bryce Chubbs, they're going to go for the high ground.
Yeah, this is where you got to be really on point with your teammate right here. When you don't have any shields, I was going to say you guys got to move in unison, make the commitment together, but Chubbs get left behind, unfortunately, in the box there. And now it's up to Bryce, who's on the front side to rotate here. Tough spot to be in. I mean, he might be able to find something. Maybe there's some points awaiting him, but I have to assume that this is all but over for him. Meanwhile, Clicks and Epic will get taken out by Peterbot there. Did not see really any sign of a resistance there, so GG's for them. Now on over to Kanata and Aegis, who are peeking out, just gathering information here. They're at the front side of this rotate here, so obviously in a key position here to continue to conserve mats. More importantly, just keep a low profile, right? We already know that low ground is going to be one of the better places you could be here if you want to keep your win condition alive. Now, you will have to fight for it, but it's not going to be the type of scrappy fight that is going to happen on high ground when you are going head-to-head, and it seems like Kanata might be making that decision to fight for height.
You can tell that Kanata and Aegis definitely want to look for a challenge up on the high ground, but right now, Peterbot, you would think that he's a duo with the way that this man is maneuvering through all of these pre-existing builds. Finds himself a nice section of mid-ground, but that is up until the boxes up above get opened up. Peterbot now in a fight for his life here. Just build after build. Walls getting tossed up. Completely expended all of his materials, though, but just manages to escape into the safety of a building. Peterbot, though, still looking, but it does find a small opportunity to possibly look to get a couple of mats.
And, what Peterbot just did there is only possible if you are an incredibly mechanical player. There are some players that can do things that are just not average, right? And that's an above average player just doing above average things. You don't jump into a two-box, by yourself. For Kanata, Aegis, you can see here, they're finally starting to find themselves some elimination, getting their feet on the ground here, but it comes at the cost of Kanata now. So Aegis gonna have to play this one out by himself. They could have had the refresher that they were looking for, but unfortunately there was the team right underneath them. And things are all starting to go south here for some of our vets. Meanwhile, on high ground, big battles going out here, decisions to be made. Possess the Snack, they decide they want to go up for it. They are taking no prisoners, though. Possessed down to 11 HP here. And yeah, they're in control of high ground, but at what cost? It looks like everything. Rise comes flying down now too, and Yamzo and Rise here have a chance to be the high ground owners, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, Yamzo definitely not liking eating those shots, just trying to get into the same box as his duo, but Rise gonna have to try and provide some coverage. Yamzo, though, doesn't have an opportunity
Great
to pop the
tag.
shield potion. Beautiful knock, though. Great elimination. That refresh could be the chase saver that Yamzo needs. Ager's also gonna be forced to drop here after eating a massive tag. High ground, just not a possibility with Aegis being a solo. It's all Day and Redux now holding height.
I like this. See, so they managed to time the high ground take very, very late into the game here to try to be the last one to cause an issue, right? And force their way out of material potentially, but now no, they have plenty of resources. Meanwhile, on the low ground, this is the more, I'd say the position the veterans want to be in, right? Be the owners of the low ground, take full control of it, take care of the teams one at a time, and walk your way towards the end game. Yes, you're gonna have to be a little bit more aware. You're probably gonna have to work a little bit harder. However, if you can do it like this, and a win condition opens yourself up, I mean, you might just be the most positioned to actually win the entire game. Look at how Bugha and Avivv are dismantling everyone right now on this low ground situation. And could they have a little moment to breathe here, Taco? They could actually win this. They had the medkits. He must have dropped them. Yep, he did. He leaves it to Redux because he's actually the first one injured, and Redux jumps down too. So they're going all for it, but Bugha's already healing. This might be a huge mistake, but no. Bugha will have to come fight. It's not going to be given to him unless he finds the tag now, and he does. He actually turns things around in a 2v1.
Nah, the cool composure from Bugha to not even break for a second there. That man's focus is on another level. Sees Avivv getting pieced up by Day and Redux, and initially did look as though it was going to resort to a heal off their MDF, but Bugha truly taking matters into his own hands.
Yeah, he just knew. He knew immediately, I only have 2 medkits. If they're here, they're at the zone, there's too many seconds left. Like, I will have to fight for this if I want to win this game. He couldn't have timed it better. But Redux, too antsy, too soon, right? This is his first appearance here on the mainstay broadcast in the set lobbies in quite some time, right? And he just made the biggest mistake ever. They already dropped him the medkits, mind you. Now, granted, he may have had no material, and he probably didn't want to sit in the zone for longer, but you could see that taking the fight, clearly you start to leave it up to chance, and Bugha and Avivv take that chance, and they walk away with it. Congratulations on a huge win there. That was just incredible.
Yeah, Redux definitely probably not too happy as well with that final cone. It was just chilling there, and it got in the way as much as you could imagine, but massive congrats to Bugha and Avivv. Now, I'm more curious to hear what Zeke, Vivid, and Killy have to say about what just went down.